until I was so when I finally did leave, I didn't say anything, and I drove to my brother's friend's roommate's apartment back then, and I didn't say anything. I was just going to roll in and say, I gotta stay here temporarily, and I didn't want him to know anything. I went in, and unfortunately there was nobody. So I sat in my car and I wait. And I was afraid. I was really afraid he was going to start looking everywhere for me, because that's what he usually does. And here's an example. One time I left when I wasn't all prepared. I tried to leave. I stayed my mom too long. And one morning I was there with her, and she left. And then 5 minutes after she left, he showed up. And I think it was one of those nights where I slept in my parents' garage. I was too stressed to stay in the house, and so I had my mattress there or something like this. And he came in with he grabbed the hammer in the garden and started banging his head and said, if I didn't come with him right now, he was gonna kill himself right there, right now. And then he wasn't joking. He was and then he grabbed my wrist really hard. He actually brought a flower bucket with him, which was kind of insane. And he started pulling me. And I said, no, I am not coming back. And my mom drove back. She actually saw in a rearview mirror when she was leaving in the corner, she saw him. So she came right back. She opens the door really sharply. And she says, what do? You need to go. She realized that something was wrong. And then he just had, come back. And I was so afraid. That's what I remember. I was so afraid of him. I was so afraid that he was going to do it. That he was going to do something really bad if I didn't obey. Then I look at her and say, yeah, I'm fine. And so she told him to leave. He left. But as soon as she left, he came back. And he pulled me again and said, come now, I'm going to kill myself. So he did that for over an hour. Played the game of banging his head back and forth. And then he pulled me so hard I literally was just dragged out of the house. And he put me back in his car, and then we came back home. And then there was weeks like this I endured where I was just a robot and I just had to do whatever he said. And I just didn't know what was going to come next. So anyway, let's go back to the car. I'm sitting in the parking lot. And then here he comes. Now my brother's roommate had come back. And I see him pulling next to my car. I turned my head, and there he was, already in. He had just got himself in. It was in the flash of a second. He had got himself sitting right next to me. And I could tell in his eyes, and it looked like he was high. And he just strangled me. And at that moment, I had never been. Nobody has never tried to strangle me in my life yet. So I'm 21, and he's strangling me with so much force. I could not breathe. I thought I was going to die. My brother's roommate drove at that second. Saved by the bell. I don't know. It must have been some kind of angel, sent from the sky. I had no idea. I don't know if he would have decided to stop. I don't know if somebody else would have showed up. I don't know if I was going to survive. I don't know if I would have been left for dead. I have no idea. And I'm not saying that to exaggerate. I just have no idea. All I know is that the roommate showed up and he stopped. And I remember not being able to catch a breath after that. At the second he pulled in, he left. Then I I followed the roommate, and then I'm in tears, I can't even talk, and then I just go inside, cry, and then I explain to him the whole thing. He's saying, call the police, all this, and I remember being so afraid. I was like, no, I can't call the police, And that's the thing, that when you're afraid, when you're isolated for some time, when you perpetrate made all these threats, and he's gonna kill himself, he's gonna either kill you, or he's just gonna, come out of nowhere and he's never gonna leave you alone ever. You just take this very seriously because you've seen the things that he's done, and you know that he can snap at any time. So I was taking that very seriously. I've felt it, and I was like, as long as he know where I am, he could come out of nowhere and show up. And this was not the end. After that, I was able to stay there for maybe 3 weeks, months. It didn't take more than a month or two before he traced me back. And as soon as he traced me back, he just started following me everywhere. And I thought it was going to be the end. And for another year and a half, it literally showed up at my door, pushed himself in. I had found him in my closet, why I had never given my key. One time I was in my place, I was watching TV for a whole hour. I remember cooking while I go in my room and he comes out my closet. And that was the scariest thing. And he would not move. I said, get out. He would not move. He was so strong. He would just sit. He would sit on my sofa and just hold my arm, just stay there and just stay as long as he wanted. And he just say he's gonna stay. He was basically doing whatever he wanted. He'll sit in my car, he'll say, you come with me, let's do this. It came to a point I was just didn't know how to get rid of him, but I just started to have to follow him, start hanging out with him again. And of course I would say, let's go in public place, and he just trying to buy me back by inviting me in restaurant again and things like this. And but I was still very afraid, and I still didn't know how to get rid of him. And this went on. This went on for a while, and it was just really hard. It's just I could not talk to anybody. So basically, in that year and a half after it was over, he just mentally was still able to control me because he showed up anyway, and if he ever had found out that I was even going out or trying to date anybody, he probably would have killed me, or it would have been really bad. So until he was completely out of my life, I could not do anything. Until that one day came where I went out and he wasn't around. He wasn't around every night, so it was actually one of those nights I decided I want to go out. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of living a lie, tired of lying to everybody, saying it was over, and not telling anybody the truth, not sharing anything. And I had met this one guy, and I was having fun, playing pool, finally meeting someone else for the first time after all this time. Had been almost 2.5 years since I had not dated anyone but him. And that other guy followed me home. And when we came home, he was there, sitting on my sofa. The first thing he did is get up and he just started to fight. He started to want to punch him. And then he sat back down and he said, he needs to go. And he was just like telling me, he needs to go right now. And we said, no, you need to go. And he would not listen, so he just stayed still. And the new friend just said, well, let him stay. We'll go out and we'll call the cops. I was still so afraid after all this time. I said, no, I don't want to. I was so scared. And that's the problem, is that they scare you enough when you don't reach out. If I had reached out, he would have left me long, long ago. But I was too afraid. I was living under his fear, under his control. That because of that other person, he called the cops. When the cops got called and they came, he was gone, nowhere to be found. And for the next 5 years, I had never seen him again after that. And one time I crossed him at the mall, once or twice, and that was it. And then after that, long gone. I have never heard of him since over 15 years ago. Out of sight, a ghost. And I could not believe it. I could not believe that day that calling the police was going to be the end of the story. He had made me out to believe that me calling the police was not going to be the end of the story. He made me out to believe that if I had reached out and called the police, I would have been dead. Somebody else would have been dead. And it was very terrifying at the moment, just going on and on and on. So this is just one story. So if you found yourself in any of this type of situation, don't wait. That's my advice. Don't wait. Don't listen. Don't think they're going to change. And because all you will be doing is wasting your time. Wasting your time living your life just because someone else is weak and wants to control you and abuse you. So my other physical abuse story is that guy. I'm gonna give you just brief little details. That other guy will drink heavily and punch me in the face, pull my hair, kick me out of the stool, broke my arm. Those were the 2 or 3 things. Once took my shoes. I had to walk. I was locked out of my own house in 2 or 3 a.m. Took leave off me for a year and a half. Took over $4,000 from my credit card. Killed my dog. Sabotaged my apartment, left me with a lawsuit and $2,000 to pay. On top of that, and so much more on top of that, he cheated, all this. But that's just the outside things that he did. Physically, it was always constant. It was he would just trap me in a room, point the finger at my face, and just kind of push me around from side to side while he was telling me story. He was forcing me to listen, and he was looking terrified. I mean, his face was crazy terrifying because he was so enraged during the evil battle that he was dealing with in his head, with his past and all his demons. Then he was lashing at me while I was just sitting there, and he had drank a bottle or 2 of whiskey. So you can imagine, get the picture of, I'm sitting in the bed and he's just telling me not to move and just, just pushing me around, and just, it was most like he was haunted, like it was the time when he became that monster, where suddenly he was calling me all sort of name. He thought I was his sister, sometimes he thought I was his mother, and then other time he realized it was me, and it's just back and forth like this. And he would do things like taking things were precious to me, my album picture, my CDs of things, my collections of things, and he would just broke them. He would broke them in pieces, and then he would have no remorse. Once he just got rid of my 2 little dogs and let me search for them for a week. And then I found them under the house. And he would do all type of things like this. So there's so many other things. I remember one time running around the apartment complex and having to go look for the security man in a golf cart asking for a phone. I was so afraid. And when I called the police, he was gone, of course. And then up the next morning, he's back in my place. So another one who I had lots of problem with is another guy that I had for almost 3 years, was extremely possessive and dig into